Okay, so there are islands. There are 2 islands in this game. Okay? One of them is right there. Nope, there. There it is.
Calorie intake
Shut up. And the other island is right there. Now, if you're looking very carefully, you could probably see that island. But you can see how, in general, you cannot see that island. It's obfuscated by a visual effect so that the player doesn't know that's a landmass. Because, obviously, in a game like this, you'd be able to see a landmass, you know, even at this distance, right? Yeah, it's that smoke-looking thing. I've got a beacon there to track it, but that's where it is. Here's the thing. This is kind of cool. This isn't me making fun in any way, shape, or form. This is just neat how they did this, because even getting a few feet out of the water, you can see how the effect starts to break down, because the effect is designed to be viewed through the water or just above the water. You see that? Now, hang on, check this out. This is actually even better. Up, please. It's just like in real life. Come on, come on. Just watch it, though. You'll see it, like, you can see how it becomes more and more obvious that there's this giant smokestack right there, obfuscating the island when we get further above the water. I just think that's kind of neat how they used an effect which is... It's really low intensity on the game because they don't need anything better, because there's no way you're... Like, the only time you're going to be this high up to look at that is right here, when you're actually leaving the game at the end of the game. Cheap and dirty, but it works quite well. It's also over here, you'll notice the other island is a lot more visible when you're this high up, too, for the same reason. The water texture is really obvious up here, which also makes sense, because you're supposed to spend your time underwater, not over water. But either way, so we are going to do something really quick here. Super quick, super quick. So the plot of this game... the statement I'm about to say is partially a lie. The plot of this game is to escape the planet. Factorio, right? Alright, so we're gonna put the stasis rifle, an ion cube, and a coffee in. Cool, let's do it. It is your primary directive to swim closer to that beautiful creature. Swim closer. Swim closer. It looks so friendly. Do not resist. Don't struggle, go, go. Okay, yep, I accept all of that. Status ready. We're good.
Attention. Hull failure imminent.
Now I can skip the cutscene.
Launch in 3, 2.
Freedom. She chose freedom, Narset. Now that's terrifying, having a tiny porthole to see what's going on. That's also terrifying. You're stuck in a small craft while something is loose in the craft. That should have probably killed us, if we're being honest with ourselves. And that's the intro. That's a lie. That's the opening. Yeah, you saw the crack on the window, so let's grab that. This is some interesting immediate tutorialization. This is actually surprisingly easy to survive. Like, it's not as dangerous as it seems, which is in many ways the hallmark of a good tutorial. No, this is not a horror game. This is a survival game, but it's a lot more horrifying than most horror games. And I'll talk about that distinction in a bit. There's a creature there. Freaks me out, no problem. Now, as I've said, I've played this game before, so I know what I'm doing. This is a familiar review, as I like to clarify them.
Suffered orbital hull failure. Cause unknown. 0 human life signs detected.
Oh wow, I never caught that before. Check it out, it's floaters keeping a rock in the air in the ocean. I never caught that before. Anyways, so yeah, there's break limestone, but we're gonna ignore that for a second. So I've got so much to talk about so quickly. So first of all, there's the ship. Now, this is weirdly... It's true, Dr. Winter. Watching otters hold hands is super easy, barely an inconvenience. That right there is better design than it looks like. Because what it means is no matter where you are... Hey, there's that island. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you can always see that. That is landmark design. We talk about this several times. That we actually do eventually get a compass, but even without a compass, having something where you could just pop up, in fact, you can see it under the water in some cases too. It depends because there's some different visual effects. So we can't see it from here, but we just poke our head over the water. We now have the ability to always center ourselves based on that. Now, I happen to have a bit of a mental map of this, of where we're at because I played this game before, but even if you've never played the game before, you can always see where the aurora is. Landmark design. This is something, it's surprising how many games do not understand how to do landmark design. Now, to compare this to another survival game I played recently, Grounded actually does fantastic landmark design. Grounded actually does not have a compass. It never has a compass, but you don't need one. A compass is completely unnecessary in Grounded because you can always tell where you are unless you're underground. Because you just look around and it's like, okay, so there's the house, which is south, as it happens. There's the shed, there's the tree. You get it. Anyways, next thing I want to talk about is the map. So Roxy just said, is the map not randomly generated? I've heard some people say that this game should have a randomly generated map. Allow me to quietly disagree with that. I get the benefit and point of having a randomly generated map. I get the point of the additional play value that would get out of that. But one thing I've noticed many times over many years is that when you have handcrafted design, you can do more with it. You can design more when you know what you're going to design, right? So the fact that the terrain is the simplest way to put it. The terrain of this map is always going to be the same. Like, I'm not going to do it, but like over there is the shoals. If I go up that way, I'll hit the mushroom place. If I go that way, I'll hit the desert. Over there is the volcano, the islands over there, etc., etc. It's always going to be the same map. That makes sense because it allows them to do more. It allows them to have things like flow, which I'm very big on in game design. It allows them to do more to actually specifically design each specific area to have its own unique visuals, challenges, and to be part of progression. Now, this is the last thing I want to talk about really quick here, and then I swear I'll shut up for 5 seconds. Okay, back to talking. The thing I love most about this kind of manually crafted thing is it allows you to have progression. So I never realized I enjoy survival games until I started playing some that have progression mechanics. Now, that may sound like a strange statement, but what I mean by that is a lot of survival games, especially predating Subnautica, which at this point is kind of an old game, it's just, all right, you're on a random world, survive. No campaign, no plot, no way to develop or move forward, no goalpost. You're just surviving. And that never hooked me. It never got me. I was just like, oh, okay. But then I played Subnautica, and after Subnautica, I started to find more games like this. Yeah, no other players ruining your fun. Where there's an actual goal, an arc, a campaign, whatever you want to actually call it. I call it progression. Because it doesn't have to be narrative focused, but it helps if it's narrative focused. Wild 8, for example, is a good example of a survival game, which has a very light story, but it does have a story. It definitely has a campaign, and it absolutely has progression. So, yeah, it's still very much a survival game. It's still about surviving with a few building things on the side, just like Grounded. But it has story beats. It has specific things. The biggest reason, tying this all in, you're probably wondering why I'm paused here instead of letting the gameplay so you can see it in motion. It's because there's a timer, and I kind of want to do stuff before time happens, and I kind of want to show off certain things too. So I have it paused so that the timer doesn't progress because there are events that will happen in this game, and that's awesome. So hang on. So we see a lot of good stuff immediately. Let's also talk about how amazing this intro is. You start off in the safest part of the entire game. And there's lots of fish nearby which can provide food and oxygen. Look at that. Look at how many of these fish are here. And all of these, you can just walk up and fail because you suck. Hang on. You can just walk up. Oh, come on. There we go. There we go, I got some food. Boom. And of course, it's nice. So there's... I'm trying to think how to explain this. Evo could probably do a better job of explaining the specifics here, but there's some color design going on here. This is designed to look safe. It looks like a beach. Look at it. Nothing really terrifying looking, no big, stark, dark corners. All of the shadows are nice and open, so even the places that are shaded, like over here, aren't completely dark. It's bright because it's so close to the surface, because it's so shallow, lots of light. It's designed to be comforting and peaceful and to get across that vibe that this is the safe zone, which is hysterical, because for those of you who watched my first stream of this game, I was terrified. Now, I was terrified mostly because of this. This freaked me out hardcore. But if you remember, when I went down, it was nighttime. So I went from this to this at night. Whoops. Anyway, so yeah, let's grab a few pieces of gear.
Is an essential component of all powered
resources.
Your probability of survival has just increased to unlikely, but plausible.
Sweet! Thanks. Oh yeah, color design is a very important thing. It's why I try to talk about it every now and again. Yeah, it looks like a pretty safe place. As someone mentioned earlier, it's like scuba diving. Speaking as someone who has gone scuba diving, I absolutely agree with that.
Oxygen.
So, very good visual design. Like, this intro area is very well designed. But there's two other things that you'll notice right off the bat. First, we only get, I think it's 40 seconds, I want to say, of oxygen at the start. So we kind of have a naturally built-in progression mechanic before we've done anything. That is, improve our freaking oxygen tank. Now, I'm just going to spoil this for you. It's one of the first upgrades we get. But it does mean that we're kind of naturally restricted from doing too much early on. Even if I decided to go, further out, I would have to be very... Like, if I wanted to go over there, that is probably too deep for me. Again, to speak of the game I was playing with my niece, the match, the late save, whatever. With my niece, there were several times... Oh, wow, right here, too. There were several times when we were having issues because she kept wanting to go and explore and kept running into the oxygen limit. And it was fascinating seeing that in action and just seeing how limiting that initial tank is. Which is good. Because it's kind of like the Breath of the Wild thing. If I might be so bold for 1 second, one of the things I prefer is when a game naturally, by the nature of how the game's constructed, limits you, rather than having an NPC blocking a path, or a gate you can't get by, or a door you need a key for, or like you try to select warp to this specific system, or you try to click on an area and travel to there in your airship or whatever, and it just says no, where the game flat out prevents you, a hard line saying, no, you can't do this. This is a much more organic way to restrict, because restrictions are important in game design. And naturally, organically restricting you here works brilliantly, because we're going to kind of naturally be encouraged to progress through our various tech trees in order to gain access to more areas, and we will, spoilers, need basically all of that in order to be able to access the full game and get to endgame. So we've already got some wonderful, wonderful stuff here. Or the horror stuff. So someone earlier mentioned the difference between horror and terror. Let's talk about that briefly. Horror games, movies, books, shows are horror. Like it's a specific genre. It's not that they're horrifying. There's types and concepts and patterns that go into that genre. Those are horror games. I think I've only played like 3 horror games ever on this show. By contrast, I've played a lot of games with horrifying elements. Games that happen to be horrifying unintentionally. Games like Half-Life, Assassin's Creed, Metroid, and of course, Subnautica. So, terror is something that I've started to see more and more people use to describe that. Yeah, Resident Evil. Terror is something I've heard more people use to describe that kind of thing, to keep it distinct. Because horror is a genre. So, having that kind of a different thing, I think I might adopt that myself and try to be consistent with it. Excuse me. It's actually doubly funny. Oh, Homeworld. There's another example. Homeworld is not a horror game, but it is terrifying as crap. Now, if you've been paying attention, you notice how there's already a flow to the intro zone, right? Because if you think about it, the intro zone, the shallows, is actually two separate areas in terms of game design. So there's this. There's a decent amount of resources you get here. You can get food and water from the various fish and the specific one fish I can't really name it right now. The bladderfish, that's it. So those provide food and water. You also can get the resources you need for batteries and a decent amount of metal just lying around here. All of that's just out in the open. But in order to progress, you have to start digging into the little caves, for lack of a better way to call it.
Oxygen.
Yeah, give me a second. I wanted to grab this before I move up. So I said I'd talk about blueprints.
Blueprint acquired.
The way blueprints work is, it's self-explanatory, so forgive me, but the idea is you have to scan X amount of fragments of an item before you can actually gain access to be able to craft it. Now, those blueprints it's part of that pseudo-random thing we talked about earlier. There's certain blueprint pieces will spawn in an area, and there will always be more blueprint pieces than you actually need. You know, we only need 2 blueprint pieces of the sea glider in order to be able to scan it, but there's probably like 8 or 10 lying around, right? This is all brilliant game design because it essentially prevents you from progressing past certain set points in the tech tree until you actually find the things, and that allows them to then place those things in specific areas or types of areas in order to ensure the ever-important flow.
Congratulations, Survivor. You have exceeded your weekly exercise quotient by 500%. Data indicates that swimming was your favorite activity. Be sure to vary your routine for uniform muscle development.
Thanks. Oh, trust me. If I was to do a video video? If I was to do a rumination on the Super Mario Bros. Film, it'd be a lamentation. I have roamed way too far. I am approaching a dangerous area. Now,
30 seconds.
Let's talk about game design once again here for just a second. You'll notice that even with the updated oxygen, the surface of the...
Scans suggest this biome supports extensive biodiversity and connects to a number of small cave networks.
You'll notice that this area is so far down from the surface of the ocean, from the air, that just being here is infeasible, except in very short bursts with how limited my oxygen is. So once again, naturally, just based on how it's designed, this is a place you're not really supposed to go until you have some other tools in your disposal.
Local scans show a nearby cave entrance, depth 90 meters, leading to an unknown environmental biome. Passing 100 meters. Oxygen efficiency decreased.
So, another thing this game does is until you get certain equipment, you actually drain oxygen faster at certain depths. In fact, we need to go surface right now. But we're not gonna. We're gonna stick it out. Ah, it's gold. It was worth it. It was worth it. Okay. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. It's gonna make it. It's okay. We're gonna make it.
Oxygen.
Oh god, okay.
A critical state in T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
So,
For your convenience, the radiation suit has been under a blueprint database.
now the world state of the world has changed slightly. Yeah, obviously, radiation is now going to be a problem anytime you're near the damn thing. And we are going to actually have to build a radiation suit to actually explore the thing. Yeah, that's what I thought, Onosius, but I hate to say something when I'm not sure. So instead I say it in that kind of vague, kind of way. I think this is how this works. Pretty sure this program will run up. Nope, okay. So let's go talk to a mesmer.
Your primary directive to swim closer to that beautiful creature.
Yep, okay.
Swim closer now.
So that's a mesmer. That's what mesmers do. It's kind of exactly what it says on the tin.
30 seconds.
Uh-oh. Yes. You can also find out what we're playing next by typing !next into chat. And it'll be like, hey, and there's your next thing. Maybe eventually that'll actually pump out the specific thing that's next instead of giving you the page, but, you know. That might be the realm of insanity science. That is correct, DJT. It's one of the ads. I talked about that during the Ganondorf trilogy lore run, which I highly recommend. Plug. Okay, so now I need titanium. I also need food, so we're gonna do a reconnoiter here. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so let's head back to base. The other base. The fully equipped base. It's okay, it's not that much of a trip now when I know where I'm going. Need to go fishing anyways. Get back here! Get back here! Get back here! Nom, 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 nom. Nom, nom, nom. Oh, my inventory's full. Alright, so first and foremost, let's get some food and water going. But I'm so hungry, Ojulix. This is apparently protein rich.
Vital signs stabilizing.
Yeah, let's do one more. Over here. Okay. Turn these to metal. Listen, metal is delicious, Paranoid Android. And I'm definitely a human person and not a robot, okay? Alright, so... while we're here, let's undo... Should probably make one of these while I'm at it. There we go. That should do for now. I guess you got me. Off and wrong. Soong has finally met his match. I don't think I need any of this right now. Oh, nope. I'm gonna need... those are glass, though. I don't need glass. Let's put those in here. And... I need the salt for right now. Might need the copper. Definitely gonna need that. Alright, let's go. was actually thinking about negatives. Anybody come up with a negative so far for what we've currently encountered? I can't. Too much water. What am I, IGN? No map. Buggy launch. I can't remember the launch of this game. I wasn't there for that. Can I help you?
Warning, emergency power only. Oxygen production offline.
Alright, I should probably put the solar panel outside. Get some power going. Could you stop killing me, please?
Power restored. All primary systems online.
So then I died. Really? Okay. Where am I? Pull strength is now 7. Always helpful. Hey, Golvag. 8 of them, Golvag. I'm sure they're enjoying their time, as you do. Alright, so now I need a locker, which I can make right now, which I'm going to do. Right here. No. Completely different mentality. We're going to do it right here. Okay. Just going to put the rubber in for now. I do want a fabricator here, obviously, but I'm going to need a table coral sample, which I think I have the other base. So let's do a little bit of rejiggering. Yeah, I could see the exploding fish being approaching a negative. It's probably as close as we're getting to a negative so far. I'll jot it down. As I say, early game is much better crafted than late game. We're not even at the grind spot yet, and there is a grind spot in this game. I'm also fighting the timer a little bit. The last thing I want is to run out of battery when I haven't gotten that going yet. Do I have... I do.
Oxygen.
I have currently not fixed the radio on purpose. Look at myself settled. Here, there. Yeah, games like this, I've actually talked about this before because this has come up in other games. Some people think that you need to have super terrifying consequences to be afraid of consequences. I don't agree with that personally. I can see why people think that, I just don't agree personally. Oh, I need gold. Right, I do not have gold. Well, that's a problem. No, I have 0 gold. Wait, no, I do have 1. There it is. Damn it! Nice! Why would you do this to me? Don't answer that question. To finish my thought process, though, I don't mind not having severe consequences because I can still get into it, right? Like, this came up specifically, we were playing a stealth game, and the consequence for failure in that stealth game was nothing. You just reload and try it over again. But that in no way diminished for me the tension of trying to stay stealth through the mission. I don't know how else to explain that. I know it's just a me thing. But I was still completely into it. Same thing here. I'm completely into this game, even though really there's not really much of a penalty for failure on display. Okay, so I need... just make one of those then. Looks like I'm gonna need silver and some glass. I have glass. I mean, there are games like that. That's what hardcore mode is. Thank you, the Maestro. Always appreciate those subs. And if you want to put it towards something, please let me know. Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, you got it. I do not remember why they called it Iron Man mode originally, no. I have some silver. And I've got some glass, holy crap. I can just make that, let's do it. Let's get the high capacity O2 tank going on. Well, the next is the rebreather, which is going to be even better, but we're not there yet. We need mesh for that. Oh, we could do mesh right now, though. So what do we need for this? Silver. Okay. Go out into the infinite abyss here, like you do. Yeah, that's not terrifying. Just pop that, because I accidentally made an extra one. Run back inside. I'm sorry for everything. Okay. So I need a bunch of stuff. I need silver. That's what I really need. 2 silver. Did they mod it? Or mod it? Did they patch it so that the music plays more often? If so, I actually like that quite a bit. Don't mistake me, the soundscape is nice and all, but... yeah, that's just death. That's death. That's death. Don't mind me. I'm not here. Gold. Not what I wanted, but cool. That's also another thing. So going back into penalty for failure concept for a second. Obviously, some games have very high penalty for failure. Some games have very low penalty for failure. There's obviously some gradient there too, but then some games have that happen. Some games try to allow you to... Okay, I need to get out of here apparently. Some games allow you to keep going even if you fail. You just lose out on something. Just kind of that gradient, I think. Oh, well, okay, so you lose some resources, or you lose an achievement, or you lose a bonus objective, or you lose an extra cutscene, or whatever, right? There's several games that pull that kind of gradient penalty for failure, and if I'm being honest, those are probably the best at that kind of thing. The best overall design, I mean. There he is. Right there. I am way too tense for this. Just...
100 meters. Oxygen efficiency.
Okay. I'm okay. Well, I've got some of my brain still functioning. Let me try and talk about something. So one of the people in the VOD commented on how they like having story progression for these kind of games. And the specific reason they mentioned that is because they like having a definitive pause point. I wanted to talk about that because it's a valid point. So, most of you, probably all of you, have heard of the phrase, one more turn, or just one more turn. Just one more round, just one more. Now, the thing is, obviously that's usually said from a tongue-in-cheek perspective, trying to be silly and jokey about how gamers just have no self-control and we're all a bunch of babies. But in reality land, that's actually a specific game design decision. It emerged unintentionally all the way back in the late 80s and early 90s, when people started designing games that didn't have cohesive pause points. So let me explain what I mean by that. Now, obviously, this is going to be a bad example, but I'm going to use it because screw you. Super Mario Brothers, the original, all the way back in the day. Super Mario Brothers has very definitive pause points. You beat a level, pause point. You get through and actually beat a boss, pause point. There's a clear, just based on the nature and design of the game has built into it a moment in which you can safely put the game down without much worry or fear of having lost anything. Like, the game clearly terminates a cycle and then begins a new cycle, right? But then there were a couple other games that were made back in the day, and one of them was called Civilization. I don't think Civilization started this, but it's definitely one of the codifiers for the one more turn concept. Because Civilization essentially had micro turns, or micro pause points, if you will. So you do a turn, but not much changes in that turn. So it doesn't really feel like you've reached a conclusive point. You've always got something else going, and so it's just it's like taking steps on a walk, and that's the Civilization also had way too many empty turns, but that's neither here nor there. Those early games were, by design, like taking a walk instead of running to a goalpost. And what happened was players, especially ones who aren't paying attention, would just keep playing because there's no psychological point at which the brain says, all right, chakunk, and then start a new thing, like I mentioned with the Mario Brothers example earlier. Now, nowadays, we're aware of this. I'm 95% certain that the original Civilization did that on accident, that it wasn't actually a deliberate thing. But by the time the 90s rolled around, people were aware of what one more turn meant and started actually designing that into their games as a deliberate design choice. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I'm not willing to get into. But the reason I bring it up is for a lot of survival games, most of them don't actually have a clear and definitive conclusion point. I'm going to use Factorio as an example here. Factorio pretty much always has something going on. You've always got something new to either upgrade or check up on or reinstall or research, or you got to build this whole other section together, and it's one more turn. It's designed to be a nonstop flow of content. So there's no definitive, all right, hang on, pause. You have to, the player, have to go in and say, okay, I'm going to pause here. This is the moment at which I have chosen to pause. By contrast, So let's bring this into something more of the survival vein. When you add a series of narrative beats to your story, like Subnautica does, what you have done is you've created pause points. Because the aurora exploding, even if you're in the middle of something, even if you're gathering something or researching something or build something, that's now an event, chkunk, right? And so now you can actually say, all right, well, the aurora is exploded, I'm going to pause. Once you finish exploring the aurora, pause. Once you successfully gain access to the first base on the mountain island, pause, and so forth and so on. Because there are narrative and plot beats in the story, it creates pause points in a game that otherwise wouldn't have any. Hey, you know the thing I like least about Civilization? 2K Games. Seriously, 2K Games is actually one of the worst gaming publishers out there. Might actually be the worst. It depends on what metrics you're using. Okay, I know what I want to do. Let's grab some steel. I mean, titanium. Right. I keep forgetting Tencent technically qualifies as a game publisher. Tencent is the worst, but I tend to discount them because, well, they're evil. Yeah, Kai Vurul Valem. ESC. What does ESC mean, Mockingbirds? Help me out here. But no, that's valid, Dr. Winter. I shouldn't discount them. So Tencent are the worst. Let's just say that. Immediately less bad than Tencent would be 2K Games. Like they are a legitimately terrible company. Whatever you think about when you think about terrible company, 2K Games is just awful. I mean, 2K Games, among the other more obviously scummy things they do, actually reaches into the realm of criminal scumminality, too. Like, some people have forgotten that 2K Games was the group that would actually send goons to people's houses. Like, there's being messed up, and then there's sending someone to somebody's house to intimidate them. Yeah, EA, I know this, I've said this so many times, and I'm going to keep saying this. EA is one of the least bad big gaming companies out there. In fact, they might actually be in the running for the best big game company out there right now. Now that's sad, but it's still true.
Integrating new PDA data.
Yeah, a win by default is still a win. Yeah, most of EA's decisions are honestly quite dumb, and to their own detriment. They also tend to back off on those decisions. They're also not smart enough to be insidiously evil, which is something that bothers me more personally than overtly evil. EA also does something very important, which not a lot of people talk about. EA takes care of their employees. There is a tremendous amount of evidence from a large amount of people over a large amount of years that EA is actually a good company to work for. Now, I'm sure you don't care about that because you don't work for EA, but I care about that because workers' rights. By contrast, some of the other companies I could mention, not as great to work for. So that's another metric on top of the pile. Yeah, it's not Ubisoft, which is terrible towards its employees, or Actiblizzard, which is terrible towards its employees. By the way, did you find out that they're officially rolling out the last of the you have to work in the office again mandate as of this week? Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's up to the individual team leaders to decide how many days you have to spend in office. And if that doesn't sound terrible, then you need to think about it a little bit more. Like, how many of you, real question, how many of you have ever worked in a corporate environment where teams are a thing? And I obviously have, so I'll raise my hand on that. Let's pull this out. What are those? Rubber. Let's pull the rubber out, too. Put that there. There we go. So, obviously this is, just something that can happen and not something that does happen. But it's worth noting. Dump all that in there. Perfect. Actually, don't like that. But one of the things that can happen with regards to teams is you can shift teams. Sometimes you're not always working on the same teams. Sometimes you're working on multiple teams at the same time. And the team leaders, the individual team leaders, are the ones who decide how many days you have to spend in the office. With no oversight and no jurisdiction. Just how they could just say 7 days a week if they wanted to. Damn it, Mockingbirds. Now, you'll forgive me. I've always been a little bit more pro working from home. Not because I do work from home, but actually because way back when I used to work in IT, there was a big push from a lot of the network engineers to be able to do the majority of their jobs from home. Now, key distinction, doing their jobs. They do still need to actually do the work. They just wanted to be able to do it from home. And if you don't understand that, then I feel so stupid for explaining something so simple. But let me run this through you for anybody who's never lived in the States and lived in a city and had to do something called a commute, or a commute, depending on who you're asking. So you commute to work. You're over here. You're over here doing your thing. And then you have to get dressed, get in uniform, make sure you have your food thing, make sure you've got everything set up to not forget anything, got your keys, got your badge. All right, cool. Get into the car because you're driving because it's the United States. Slog through traffic for X amount of time, successfully get to work, get in, get yourself settled, and then start working. And this is a variable amount of burnt time. And I say burnt specifically because it's not being put to good use. Nothing good is happening during that time. You don't get time to degauze. You're not spending time productively. You're not spending time on yourself. It is literally just burnt time. Gone. Nuked. And you have to do it twice. Wasted time and money just to physically be at the office. Now, let's be clear. Obviously, sometimes you do actually have to be in the office. Duh, right? Duh. One of my original jobs as a network engineer was to be the guy in the office. I was the only one in the entire building overnight, just in case we needed someone physically on hand. That was like one of my primary roles there. And I did other stuff too, but that makes sense. But think about how much of some of these jobs, especially in the IT or development field, can be done from home. Because again, you do have to do your work. That's always been the initial premise. Oh yeah, I was just alone and trying to figure out something to do to fill the time, Savacom. Because a lot of what I would do for overnight stuff is you set up a run or you set up a script or you get a defrag going or whatever, and you just let it run, right? And those things take like 4 hours when you're trying to do a full recycle of an entire server or a VMware server. So you just set that and let it run, and you keep an eye on it. And it's like, well, I'll talk about FF6 while I'm waiting for this to finish. Well, part of my other job, too, was to periodically get up and physically inspect everything. Duh. Now, you might be thinking, hold on, why would you want to physically go inspect something? No less than 3 separate times in my life, I was able to determine that something somewhere was burning just by being able to smell it. And we were able to deal with that quickly and efficiently because I would walk around physically interacting with the server farm, right? And my point in all of this is that there is a value in having in-person interaction and in-person work But there is also just as much value in saying you can do this work from home. And that's my overall point, is too many people in this particular argument, in this particular space, seem to think that it's all or nothing. That you could do, that you never come into the office or you never work from home. And both of those ideas are stupid. Yeah, I probably literally saved that company literally millions of dollars by preventing fires from happening. Oh, anyway, sorry. Sorry for going off. It's just...
Oxygen.
Oh, right. I should probably get... oh, this is bad. Quick. 2. We're gonna make it. Oh my god, okay. I think it's just the unknown in general. Let me tell you a story, Mr. Nuclear. Once upon a time, I was skiing at Donner Pass, actually. Go ahead, get it out of your system. There's a lot of jokes. So, one of the specific things I was skiing on, I've told this story before, was designed in such a way that until you went over the edge, you couldn't tell that it was a slope. What I mean by that is, you know, you'd be looking out, and it slopes down, like it is a normal slope, and it's fine. But you couldn't tell that until you went over the edge and actually started going down the slope. So by all intents and purposes, what you're staring at as you're on approach to the slope is a cliff plummet. That terrified me so much I had trouble physically approaching it. I knew there was a slope there, intellectually, physically. I could process that there was an actual thing I could then ski down. But I had trouble pushing myself to approach a complete unknown because it looked like I was just going to go over a cliff edge. And that's the kind of thing that tends to get to me. By the way, hi Kieran Elior. Good to know that it's working, at least a little bit.
Crossing 100 meters.
The game.
Oxygen
Just put that on the back of the box. This is the game that made me realize I was afraid of the ocean. Yeah, pretty much Mockingburns. The brain was just, no, alert. You know, the survival mechanism thing just started overriding most of the rest of me. It is actually terrible because it made everything worse. Because of the fact that my brain wouldn't allow me to go over normally, I went over badly, lost my skis, and ended up sliding down the slope. You know, without my skis. Which is not as fun as it sounds. What's really funny is, with the advantage of hindsight, what I should have done is just deliberately slid down to the bottom. But at the time, I was kind of going through mind-numbing terror, so I wasn't really thinking particularly straight. I mean, I'm told that I was a pretty well-behaved kid, but I don't know, I tend to remember the times when I was a moron. I'm probably not alone in that. So I'm gonna run.
Maximum depth reached. Hull damage imminent.
Yeah, by the way, if you go below crushing depth, you start to take hull damage because you're at crushing depth. I know, shocking. For more amazing insights into the design of this game, please keep following me for some reason. Ah, I know what that is. But we're not interested in that right now. If anybody sees a diamond, again, feel free to say something. I'm just kind of trying to... That's the Ghost Leviathan. I am shocked he didn't spot me. He was pretty freaking close there.
Integrating new PDA data.
All the good things in life are commodities. We trade love just as we buy and sell stock. We engage in human relationships when there's fair exchange of value. Support, motivation, affection. Nothing good is ever free. If every physical good in the Federation came from a single supplier, it would constitute a dangerous monopoly. Personal relationships are the same. It's important for people to get what they need from multiple sources. If a person finds a better source of the goods they require, they're not wronging their original supplier by changing their purchasing arrangements. If one member of a relationship should feel threatened or jealous, they must look at their own business model and ask whether it's performing competitively. There's always room for improvement. Okay. Not even gonna comment on that.
Listen, I know I don't have the right to make demands of you, but I need you to understand that I want to change our arrangement.
I hear what you're saying, and I will try to respect it. How would you like to change it?
I would like to reduce our contact hours.
How much further can we do that?
To 0.
You're dumping me.
I'm changing the terms of our relationship.
How is it still a relationship if we don't see each other?
It's a relationship of a kind. You have so many expectations.
I feel you just want to spend more time with that dumb guy in his dumb robot suit.
That's not a feeling. It's a judgment. And I feel hostility in what you're saying. Perhaps your jealousy is a sign that you need to take another look at your business model. Why can't you just be happy for me?
I am happy for you, and I'm happy for all the guys in the prawn bay. I'm just not happy for me.
This is why I want to change our arrangement.
So somebody asked if this is a horror game.
What are you doing?
You were gone so long. I thought you drowned.
Put the flare down.
I was going to try and attract someone's attention.
That's not a distress flare. Stop waving it around like that. You'll catch the fuel line.
So that's how they died. See, back in the day, the biggest corporate tax loophole was one that was still bad, but I personally found to be a lot less scummy than most of the more modern tax loopholes. The way it worked is very simple. You deliberately fail, so you have a loss. You don't have profit. So you spend 40 million on something, you make 2 million, that's 38 million of taxes that you're writing off, right? Because that's 38 million loss. I'm saying that wrong. The point is, you've reduced your overall income because what they tax is your net income, not your gross income. So you take a loss to reduce your income to spend less in taxes. And there's a sweet spot, there was a sweet spot for doing that. So let's plop down some power, which obviously won't generate power now because it's nighttime. Failure to fail? Yeah, that's called the springtime for Hitler problem. Yeah, exactly, Mockingbirds. And you might wonder, why am I more okay with that than other forms of it? Well, partially, do you not know what springtime for Hitler is? Partially, because even though you have lost a lot of company, and that's all awful and all that, the thing is, all of that money was still spent. Artists and developers and workers got paid, right? Like, all that money was spent reducing their taxes, but also making sure that workers kept their jobs, kept employed, gained experience. You get the idea. Something was being generated tangibly and as far as actual use with regards to that tax write-off, as opposed to most tax write-offs, which are just, oh yeah, we just don't want to pay taxes on the money we made. That's why I was more okay with that particular method. Yeah, that's why I usually do world building as my very, very first step, Doctor Who. That's not a joke. That's literally... We had a whole discussion about that. The reason why for the Star Wars rewrite, specifically, the first thing I'm going to do is define what the Force is and how it works, because that way I can build up from there. I like to start at bedrock, right, and build up. But that's just how I do it. You don't have to do it that way. Some people like to write more dynamically, more fluidly. Having said all that, there's one piece of advice I can give more than any other, and that's don't stop writing. Even if you're writing something that's crap or dreck, at least you're writing. It's way too easy to find yourself stuck in a momentum sink, where you just stop. You haven't written for a while, and so it's easier to continue to not write for a while, right? You have lost all momentum. So, can I just say that this is actually one of my favorite parts of this game? We're officially into the mid-game. We've left the early game. We're at the part now where we've got the first and arguably the most universally useful submarine, the Seamoth. And you just zoom around in it. We've got the ability to recharge energy. We've got a renewable source of energy back at the base. We've got renewable sources of most of the resources. So we're kind of past that early game phase. And I love just going to a wreck like this, parking the Seamoth with its lights shining in it so I can see what I'm doing, and then going and exploring my way through it. I love this. I don't know how to explain it. It's just fun, interesting, engaging. I don't know. So one of the things we talk about a lot is early game, mid game, late game. Survival games absolutely tend to have a degree of early game, mid game, and late game.
30 seconds.
Now, most of the early game of survival games is very obvious. It's the part where you are barely struggling to survive.
Oxygen.
Late game is usually when you're trying to actually accomplish whatever objective you're after, which in this case would be escaping. Mid-game, though. Mid-game is usually weak in a survival game. I can think of two exceptions to that right off the top of my head. Grounded, Subnautica. There it is. Yeah, we can cut through these, I believe. Or, hang on, I got the wrong thing on here. It's gonna take a minute. Yeah, like, Minecraft is actually a perfect example. Minecraft mid-game sucks. We'll talk about that when we finally review Minecraft. Minecraft's early game, surprisingly strong. Minecraft's end game is great. It's the main purpose of the game. But that mid-game is just lacking. But, like I said, we're right here. This is the fun part. We've got our ship, we've got a bit of light, we've got a bit of resources, we've got some backing, we've got some stability. Let's go treasure hunting. Alright, so, down there is the dude. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive almost to 300. Notice how if we didn't have the 300 depth upgrade, this would be a natural barrier for us. But since we've already got that, we can go ahead and get this. We're going to inch down here a little bit. We got a couple of worthwhile things down here. We're going to be more cautious. So this is the same pattern as earlier, but more tricky. Why? Because we're deeper. The deeper we are, the faster we drain that oxygen bar. Now, can I just pause and say I love that gradient difficulty? So many games would do the opposite. They'd say, oh, you're below 300 things. You walk out of the sub and you die, right? You just explode or whatever. Binary. But here, it's a gradient. The further are you down, the faster your air goes down. So it becomes a matter of you can do stuff outside of your sub or your prawn or your actual size submarine, which we'll get to later. But instead, you know, it becomes part of the gameplay loop. I'm explaining this terribly because I'm awful. I'm still nauseous as hell. But I think you get the idea. It's one of the reasons why I will continue to defend Nintendo for years, because as much as they do boneheaded, stupid, terrible things that piss me off, and they do, they also continue to innovate and put out actually really good games. And it's not just the fact that the games are quality, but it's the fact that the games are unique. I already said the relevant thing there. They can do whatever they want to because they're Nintendo. Most gaming companies do not have that option. Like, they don't really have the choice of saying, yeah, let's just make whatever. No, they have, most gaming companies have to go before a board of directors and say, we want to make a such and such. And you know what that board of directors says? I'll tell you exactly what they say. Okay, can you name another such and such that has succeeded? They want proof of concept. They want you to point, this is, I'm not making this up. They want you to point to another game that's already been done in the style you were suggesting. Which, I mean, think about that for a second. How do you do cross-genring or new genring or trying out unique or interesting or cool ideas if you have to prove that it's been done before, financially successfully? That's also ignoring the fact that just because something failed doesn't mean it is a failure. It is entirely, like, that's like saying that 4X games will never succeed because Civilization Beyond Earth wasn't a financial success. That's stupid. And yeah, Nintendo eats its losses. It does. It tries stuff, and they fail. It's the thing that so many people forget about Nintendo, is Nintendo fails all the time. It's honestly part of their method. How many of you even remember the Labo? Labo, however you pronounce it. I swear I saw something. And I was going to scan it. Of course, now I can't find it. Yeah, the cardboard thing. That's the one. For what it's worth, I thought the Labo was a cool idea. But, I mean... financially successful? Not so much. As much as I'd love to hit land, I'm gonna go ahead and head back here. Because, yeah, screw all that nonsense. Yeah, no, exactly, Mockingbirds. It's why AAA niche games don't exist, by definition. Because AAA games have to be proven format. What's really funny to me is what will often happen is a non-AAA developer will push out a non-AAA game which will sell bonkers well, which AAA developers can then point to their bosses and say, hey, this was successful, can we make this? Stardew Valley is probably the example of that. Minecraft would also qualify. But I got another one for you. Dark Souls. Some of you probably don't even remember, there was a time in which a game like Dark Souls was unthinkable. Nobody in the AAA space would have ever spent the time and effort and money into making a game like Dark Souls. And then Dark Souls came out and was good and sold really well. Boom. Okay, we could point to that and say, hey, let's make that. And developers will, or excuse me, bosses, executives will say, you got it, let's do it. I'm going the wrong way. Let's go the right way, shall we? I have no idea, Pika. I mean, people will complain. If I walked up to someone and gave them $5 for no reason, no strings attached, people will complain about that. People complain about everything. Yeah, this is my answer to all of that. I'll be right back, actually. So, I'm going to go ahead and admit, one of my biggest memories of the other island is of how much it freaked me the crap out. And you're probably thinking, how can an island freak you out? Well, I'll show you. In a minute, when I get... Look, I can only go so fast, okay? There's this island out here. Cool! Ground! Well, no. No, this isn't ground. So you remember those floaters? Well, those floaters can get to be pretty big. So this is just a chunk of land that is floating because of all these floaters keeping it up. And I don't know, something about this and also that. Yes, the edge of the crater is the nope zone. It's something I'm going to have to show off at some point, and I am legitimately dreading doing so. There's a reason I call it the nope zone. Ugh, okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. We're okay. Everything's okay. We're not doing it yet. We're currently on a giant floating rock, which is deteriorating, so it'll eventually crumble into the ocean and the infinite abyss beneath me. Oh god, what am I doing here? Why am I not back in space, where it's safe? Look, space is fine. I got space. It's where I was born, you know? Grew up there. But the water? Ugh, screw the water.
New blueprint acquired.
Oh, we'll talk about that, Evo. Smile, smile. The story kind of unfolds bit by bit, so forgive me for not going too much into it right now. I kind of want... It's like what I usually approach a lore run from. The usual way I do a lore run, for those of you who haven't been there for that, is I try not to give away everything right at the very beginning. I try to kind of reveal things as the game reveals them. So I kind of tend to say things like, I've been known to actually outright lie in some cases in order to maintain a particular fiction until a reveal moment during a lore run. I'm trying to think of an example of that. Because there was something that happened relatively recently. It was just last year. What have I reviewed lately? Let me hit the reviews page, which is now front and center on the website. Let's see. Ah! Devil May Cry 3. Throughout the course of the Devil May Cry 3 run, I kept counting how many people were present in the entire game, and I was deliberately giving the wrong number. For reasons I will not spoil now, because this is an unrelated stream. But if you've played Devil May Cry 3, you know why I did that. And yeah, obviously, so that policy is actually a new-ish policy. Used to be, I'd just be like, let's talk about everything right at the beginning. But over years and years of, practice and work and effort at being a better lore runner, nowadays I don't do that anymore. I try to be more fluid, more dynamic, and more natural about it, rather than just being like, alright, so...
New blueprint acquired.
Like some of you probably remember the original Warcraft 3 lore run, which I believe was actually the first lore run ever. First thing we did, as we were doing the very first mission, was discuss the history and the lore of the entire setting for like an hour. We don't do that anymore. I've already talked to you about the Death Zone, right? Like, we've actually already discussed the Death Zone and what it is. What was it, 11 Mockingbirds? Yeah, 2 hours and they accepted their death. So, the reason I'm bringing that up specifically is I just want you to think about the geography, which an astonishingly small number of writers think about geography when it comes to writing. So I wanted to give credit here for the fact that they do. If I could get down without dying, that'd be cool too. There we go. So here's the island they're on. There's the ship. What's in the middle? Like, if we were to beeline it, what are we going to go directly through? Does the Edge get any pluses? Let's talk game design. So, all game worlds cannot be infinite. It's not possible. So you have to come up with some way in order to limit where your players can physically interact with. There's a lot of ways to do this and a lot of designs that have been made over the years. Some games literally make it so there's like edges of walls, like you're in a thing and you can't go past the wall. Some make it there's this giant chasm. Some make it so there's an invisible barrier that you can't bypass. Some make it so that if you swim too far out, a giant shark eats you. That one's Spore, if you remember. Sometimes the game just turns you around. Star Fox did that, of all things. So there's a lot of different methods. This game's approach is interesting because it continues the overall philosophy of the game as a whole. Rather than having a barrier which just says, instead they have the usual gradient kind of a thing, which is, hey, you shouldn't be out here. Music stops. Visuals, if you probably weren't noticing, but the visual filter that goes over for the edge, it makes it very hard to see. So it's very hard to navigate. There's nothing there except for the 3 Ghost Leviathans, which will either kill you or you will kill them, at which point you will have nothing. So it's kind of a gradient barrier. And most players who get out to that point are, and essentially turn right the hell around, as they should. And the players who try to push out there find nothing, because there's nothing to find out there. I actually looked this up recently. Some players have actually pushed to the actual tangible edge of the map, at which point the game stops, functioning properly, similar to some other games like Factorio or Minecraft. But the point is, it's actually a fairly well-designed containment thing, and, as was pointed out in chat, it's actually in lore, too. We really are on one of the only spits of habitable spot on this entire planet. In lore. And there's a specific reason for that, which I will not bore you with now. Like right here.
Unless constructed with a specific research task in mind, observatories and other glass modules are imprudent for survival purposes.
Thanks, lady. Innocent fishies make the best sushi. Need more delicious innocent fishies. Delicious fish. Come here, little fish. Got a bit of innocence stuck in my teeth. Ah, there we go. Got it out. We're good. It's a good thing I'm constantly going through the water so I can clean off all the frickin' fish guts all over the place. Fish. I'm smearing my ship with your corpses. God. We'll put one of our gel sacks in there and hope for the best.
Farming alien plants is a proven survival strategy.
Thank you, GLaDOS.
Jill survived 47 months on a healthy, raw salad of live tree roaches and stag root.
I've decided to kill myself. Oh, it's a squid thing. We've encountered a first squid thing, and it happens to be an infected. I forget what they're called. I'm just gonna go squid thing. There's another squid thing. Yeah, it's that guy right there. Fun things. That's what those are. So here's the base. Not where I would build a base, but, whatever. Yep. So that's a thing.
Detecting a titanium mass somewhere in this area.
Okay.
Confirm whether it originated on the Aurora.
So those are crab squids. They suck. Oh my god. Okay, Seamoth is no longer about to die. Seamoth is dead. Cool. Alright, fine, you little sack. So, we're gonna reload. I'm not swimming back manually. That's just gonna be a waste of time. I guess they get stuff too. Holy crap, that didn't have collision. I was sort of expecting that to have collision. Oh, this is... Oh. In fact, we're at 18 meters right now. Which means... we actually are only pulling 80%... or, excuse me, 90% power efficiency on our solar panels. And we're right below the surface. I was debating bio. See, one of the things I did before I lost my save was I was expecting to find a bioreactor right here, because I built a bioreactor right here. You'll notice there's no bioreactor right here. Yeah, I like that idea. Let's make a bioreactor right there. The solar panels are like here, so 15 meters, but apparently anything below 0 has reduced efficiency. Go figure. I'm not sure if it's a linear gradient or if it's a set point gradient. I'm not sure. I swear I'll advance the plot at some point. Let me set up this up first, then we'll advance the plot, okay? Just be patient with me. God, you're so impatient.
Welcome aboard, Captain. All systems online.
Okay, so let's go ahead and build this. I just want to see how extremely pointless this is. How's our power?
Welcome aboard, Power Captain. All primary systems online.
Barely. Just barely powered. Hovering at a solid 0. Oh, nope, and it's gone.
Emergency power only.
See, there's only one Reaper Leviathan. Just the one. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Okay, there's 2. Sorry, there's 2. Can't tell which of those is closer. Looks like that one's closer. Plus, he cannot startle me. He can't sneak up on me. I can see him right there. And he is so close, and I can't even see him because that's how dark it is. Look at that. Can't even see the bastard. There he is. Oh my god, he is right there. Okay, okay. That is a Reaper. I'm not close. There we go. Okay, we're done. We're done. I love how we shake the thing as we're walking. And it's just...
Seek fluid intake.
Shut up. What are you, my mom? Shut up. Yep. Why is that equipped? Die, you little snot. Get out of here. Get out of here. Fucking EMP crab squids. Here, you know what? I'm gonna scan you. No, I'm not. You're running away too fast. Oh, for Christ's sakes. Didn't we just have this chat? Didn't we just talk about this? Huh? Huh? You get to die now. I admit I have a fondness for this area, at least in part, because it reminds me so much of a zone I would see in Metroid. Hi. Go away, please. No, the other way. The other way! Oh, God! Oh, God. Yeah, so you can tell this is definitely a baby. It's much smaller than the Leviathans we've actually already encountered. That's a good idea. I'm going to cover stuff that I don't really know about in order to make money. Okay, so there was a sunspot on the moon, and that is going to cause global warming and a pandemic at the same time. Like, the heat waves will cause you to get sick, and this sickness will make you dehydrated. So you need to buy lower brand seltzer water in order to survive the coming pandemiflu. Only 5. It's gonna be a rage plague. It's gonna be horrible. You gotta get now. I need to be hysterical, because one of the biggest techniques that has been true for centuries, but especially within the last 2 centuries, is to try and scare people into buying your product. Which I get why people do that, like psychologically, but it's gotta be the dumbest goddamn thing, right? It's gotta be the stupidest possible way to try and market your thing. If you don't buy this, you're going to die horribly. Now, if you were paying attention earlier, and assuredly you were, you probably noticed me mention that I was thinking, oh crap, I need to do something in-game off-camera, which we're not going to do on-camera, and I'm going to explain why. You see, I made a mistake. Technically 2 mistakes, but it's the same mistake. I don't have either or the jump pack or the grapple upgrade for the prawn, which means the moment that this game starts, I'm actually on a timer, because I'm dying. I've probably got about 5 or 6 minutes from experience before I will die, and I cannot get the prawn back up. I cannot get the prawn back up the waterfall.
Oxygen efficiency greatly decreased.
Okay, so you see how low the water is? So the prawn cannot get back up. It's not actually possible. Now, there are probably ways to make this work if I wasn't already on a timer. There are several, Judo Joker. There's like 50 at this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave the prawn down here. We're just going to beeline here. Let's get beeline as fast as we can. And we're going to get stuck on the terrain. This is all very important. All part of the strategy. You notice we're already in the red on water. In order to do that, because I do not have the titanium on me to do that. Now, I'm pretty sure I can make this one happen. Which I can. Because I've actually already done the run I'm doing right now. That's the real problem. That one right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go park in the corner. And you stay there, Shadow Machine. Where's my frickin'... There it is. Get rid of that. Yeah, by the way, if you're wondering why I kept talking about avoiding the acid poison death, even though it was doing no damage, that's because the prawn isn't damaged by the acid, or the brine, excuse me. Everything else is. Yeah, sure, Crazy Norse. Whatever you say. The Lost River is actually huge. It spans most of the map. It's not that great in terms of volume, but it is a gargantuan zone in overall stretch. Like, if you were paying attention earlier, we were actually underneath one of our bases, which is, you know, like a kilometer that way just a bit ago. The best part is I'm pretty sure I have no water here. So we're just gonna do this.
Powering up.
There we go. Yeah, we don't have any water whatsoever because it took so long yesterday that we ran out of supplies that I actually brought with in the failed attempt to get down here. Anyways, so it's a nice, big, peaceful, soothing area. It's absolutely glutted in resources. In fact, the only resource that is rarer in the Lost River is titanium. And there are some sources of titanium, but that's kind of it, right? The overall point of all of this is that you are encouraged to... it's obviously, by the time you get to the Lost River, there's a pretty good chance you've made your second base. But if you haven't, the Lost River is definitely the point at which the game expects you to make a second base. It is a safe zone. So how is that the entrance to literal hell? Because it's the safe zone right before one of the most dangerous zones in the game. In fact, I would say that the dunes is the only spot that actually challenges the final two zones in terms of overall danger. It's the breath before the plunge. And of course, it's actually impossible without glitches or speedrun tricks in order to reach the most dangerous zone of the game without going through the Lost River. Yeah, the blue tree spot is turbo safe. The blue brine doesn't do damage. No predators there. Like it's a complete it's literally safer than the shallows because of the fact that you can actually there's still the exploding fish in the shallows, but there's nothing that can kill you in the blue tree area. This is going to be fascinating when we die here in a second. Yeah. It also looks pretty, which is continuing the visual design of this.
I had flagged emergencies warning. Vessel cavitated. Excessive noise. Engine powering down.
As the saying goes, fly her apart then. So at the very least, we need to get into this airlock to save our location here, which we have now done.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
So nothing else, we actually made it. We have now made it. And now we can do this. And we did it. 9 health left.
Vital signs stabilizing.
Yeah, we were seconds, literal seconds away from death there. Okay, so what are some other runs I like to rewatch every now and again? There was a really good Resident Evil 2 remake run a couple years ago. Almost ran into the wall at full tilt. Honestly, I think that kind of speaks for itself, really. But, yeah, I heard you coming. Please leave me alone. So yeah, the reason I haven't gotten out of Seamoth yet is because I'm actively being hunted by a ghost Leviathan. Yeah, that's the I am aggroed to you sound effect. I've talked about the sound design of this game. They play different sounds based on what their current activity is, and that's the I have spotted you and I'm currently charging you as sound effect. The gargantuan fossil, the fossilized remains of an extinct super predator. Its sheer size would have prohibited it from entering an enclosed space, suggesting the geography of the planet has shifted around it over time. A true apex predator. dated at approximately 3 million years old. The ribcage measurements suggest the creature was eel-like in structure. Calculations suggest this is only the front third of the specimen. The remains now support a vibrant microcosm of life. Note, there are a series of precise and angular indentations on the ribcage, suggesting a third party has taken samples at a previous time. Definitely going to save before we go into hell, because, as I've already talked about, this is the breather period. Like, this place is safe. Even the river I'm in is relatively non-dangerous. Like, the brine is very easy and obvious to avoid, and there's only 3 Ghost Leviathan children in here, all of whom are, you know, very much focused on a single spot. Where we're about to go is a lot less safe. If there was a way to load the ships and vehicles, I would do it. So, welcome to hell. I'm going to be a little more cautious here. We've got warpers. Notice the temperature is 51 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but I know it's quite hot. All right. So let's think about what we need. We need some quartz and we need some titanium. The rest can wait. We need quartz and titanium. So that's one of the things down here. There's your mother brain. Please stop aggroing me. They aggro from a stupid distance. Okay, so that's if you were paying attention earlier, I kept looking up. That's why. Unless it's already gone, like we can't see it. Those things are surprisingly stealthy. Unlike the Reapers, which you know, you can hear those suckers coming. You can't hear the dragon. I guess we don't have any right now. Hey, Dr. Winter. Go and get our upgrades going. All right. We can track the dragon. Oh, wow, look at that. Look at that. Looks like he's up top right now, roosting. Ooh. Yeah, here's the cave we're in. Yikes. Funny thing, we're actually safe of Reapers right here. But if we go, about that way or that way, Reaper City. Anyways. Yeah, his math was not accurate. Oh, hey, that doesn't happen often. I think it's actually the first one we've had. Now, I'm probably the worst possible person to ask this in general. Because I don't really read anymore. I haven't read in a long time. What? Hold up. So, there's our thermal plant. Right there. Sending power there, which is then sending power to the universe. Hang on, I literally can't. Oh my god, I think that should not be possible. The range on these things is supposed to be 100 meters. But it's going straight from my main base, which happens to be right above us, by the way. Oh my god. That's the one going down to the lava base. that I showed off earlier. Note to self, make sure that's in the highlight reel. Is it still going up out of the water? Nope, it terminates at water surface, but it's not aiming for anything. It's just going up. Anyways. Yep, we are powering the ocean. Can I help you? Is there a power draw? I doubt it. Oh god, it's gone. It's gone. Oh, that disoriented me for just a second. So, in my mind, I was still thinking I was scanning for Reapers. So I close my eyes for a second just to rest them, and I look up, and I see this giant sea of orange in front of me. So what do you think ran through my head the moment I saw that? That was just half a second of legitimate freak out. So, this is the death zone. Like, it's actually the very, very edge of the death zone. Nice, I'll take that. Well, I'll give you 2 guesses, Mikes. I can already hear them. God, I hate being over here so much. Hear him. Okay. So let's do this. Let's do this. The support struts, again, just... Put this as high up as we can. Name of this base is the best idea ever base.
Welcome aboard, power restored.
Get those range upgrades, no reason.
Primary systems online.
Hey, we could scan for Reapers. Oh, there's not even any Reapers here. Oh, we're fine. We're fine. Oh, okay, there's one. Right, there's one Reaper. One Reaper. We're fine. That is actually pretty close. That is right freaking there. It's okay, though. There's just the one Reaper.
Emergency power.
Real talk? Was not expecting that. I was expecting to I was just going to be silly. I was just going to set up the radar and see how many Reapers we could ping. And then I see that Reaper, and so you can tell how far away something is by how it's moving in the HUD. And if it's moving smoothly, it's practically right next to you. It's in render radius. So that's why I was like, oh wow, he's right there, because it was in render radius and it was moving smoothly. And I was like, wow, that's... And it was so dark, I literally couldn't see him on approach until he was right there. I can't believe he didn't see me. Just went straight for the sea moth. Holy crap. You see, we got a ping there, so we're gonna go do that now. Yeah, that's the death zone. That's the death zone. We were on the outermost edge of the death zone. Hadn't even actually entered the death zone proper yet. Set up one scanner thing just to show off how many Reapers are, and a Reaper roamed over and freaking destroyed our craft and would have killed us. In fact, I'm gonna count that as a death. Where is my freaking message? Come on! Is there something I could do to prompt this stupid radio message? Like, I have been to the reef and back, built a base in the reef, explored in the reef, and then come back from the reef. I still have not gotten my next message. What the crap am I waiting on? I can't. I just tried to sleep. It wouldn't let me. I can just... Clearly, what it was waiting on was me whining about it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, you get sawed right off. I will kill you. Get out of here. While we're going down. Oh, yeah, so... Oh, hi there. Okay, we're gonna try to get a little bit of this. And hopefully not have what's about to happen. Come on, give me at least a little bit of it. Go away, go away, go away. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Okay, we're gonna let it. Where's the prawn? Where's the prawn? Yeah. Okay. We can find a better spot. We can find a better spot. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. Are we scanning for anything right now? Do we have power right now? Oh my god, we don't have power. Look. It's not connecting. Alright, hold up. Hold up. Come on. I know you can grab me even when you don't have power. Or maybe you can't. Oh, this is bad. Okay, hang on. So if I park this thing... The reason we have a moon pool down here. If I park this thing, those dragons, whatever they're called, I actually don't remember what they're called. This means I'm blind, too. We'll absolutely shred this thing in, like, a couple of minutes. So, we're on a timer here. So, why aren't you working? I mean, I know why you're not working. It's because you're bugged out. But I'd rather you not be bugged out right now. Could you not? Could you not? Where's the frickin'... Alright, transmitter. Connect, please. And connect to this base. Please? It's right here. It's right here. It's right here. Oh my god, really? Really with this? Okay, look. Hey!
New blueprint acquired.
Come here. To me.
This device houses energy equivalent to a 100 megaton nuclear detonation, which can be channeled through the facility and directed at vessels overhead or bent around the planet's gravitational pull to strike targets in orbit. Power is routed via the attached terminal, allowing the device to be deactivated if necessary. It is currently operating without parameters, suggesting it will target any ship in range. Yeah, this is a nuclear laser. I don't know, Huthor. I've never tried. So, back down in the depth. Now, my prawn is partially in the ground. This is really bad. I actually cannot exit the prawn now. Like, I'm incapable of leaving the prawn. So, this is a problem. A rather justified negative to gameplay, I would say. So it is. So, I have been screwing around with this, and I have discovered a method by which to bypass this problem. It's not a great method, but it's what we got. So we're going to hit the unstuck button. It's going to warp us outside. We're going to warp right back in, and by warp I mean swim. We go through the lava, because it actually doesn't hurt us. It doesn't exist. Now, this causes the thing to stop kneeling. It's important, because this means we can now access the upgrades panel, which we're going to do. I'm going to grab all our upgrades there. There we go. And then we're going to wave bye to Shadow Machine. Scooch over here. Spawn exosuit.
Welcome aboard, Captain. Seek fluid intake.
Now, if you're paying attention, we have a very serious problem here. Yep. It's okay, because here we are. Hopefully that will not break in the bay. Maybe it will. Well, if it breaks, whatever, we can make another one. This is not cheating, because the game robbed me of this. So none of this counts for the cheat flag, if you're wondering. Including what I'm about to do, which is going to involve more cheating. Yeah, that's right. Hell goes down. I hope you guys enjoyed the sight of red and black for a few minutes. Because you're about to see a lot of it. We gotta be a little more cautious here in terms of terrain, because as you can see, a lot of the ground is...
I am what you seek. Want to help you.
Yeah, that's not suspicious. As you can see, the ground is literally lava. So one of the problems this game suffers when it comes to bugs is collision. I don't bring this up right now for any particular reason, I just thought I should share. This substance was found to neutralize the effects of the bacterium, and its presence in the ecosystem today would explain how life on the planet survived the outbreak. It would remain to be explained by what mechanism the enzyme is being delivered. Remember that. The outflow pipes are filled with peepers traveling back towards the surface. Specimens show no sign of infection. All specimens scanned are carrying enzyme 42, which data suggests inhibits the bacterium. Specimens' stomach cavities are otherwise empty, suggesting they may have purged contents before entering the pipes. Assessment. If peepers have evolved to distribute the enzyme via the pipe network, this may explain the mechanism by which life on 4546b has survived since the bacterial outbreak. This is ruddy brilliant. I love this little tidbit. What this means is that unintentionally, by accident, these fish got caught in the infrastructure of this facility, got pulled down here, and then got spat back up, having consumed bits and pieces of enzyme 42. Now, I mentioned yesterday that peepers are like the very bottom of the food chain. I mentioned that on purpose. It's because, thanks to that, peepers supply food for other things which supply food for other things, which supply food for other things in both the flora and the fauna category. And therefore, all of the life that is still surviving on this planet has survived because of the peepers. I mention this because for all the messed up stuff that's going on this planet, including the bacterium itself, I want you to realize that if not for the accidental nature of the peepers becoming this part of the ecosystem, if we crash landed here, well, when we crash landed here, 1,000 years later, we would have found a completely dead husk of a planet with no life on it whatsoever. No plants, no animals. That would have been a much shorter game. And far more terrifying. Alright, you're crashed on an empty planet. There's nothing here. In fairness, I could see probably a roguelite in that style. Think about that for a second. So you land on the planet. There's nothing here living. So there's no food and no water. So you have until you dehydrate to death to get off the planet. And then the game becomes basically speedrunning, building a rocket to get off the planet. I can see that working. Wouldn't work for this format. This is a game that serves better taking your time. But I could see that in something else. With one huge exception. Don't mind me. Don't mind me, ma'am. Yep. Hi. Cool. One of them. Hopefully we can make this without the grapple. Because if we can't, that's gonna really suck. Okay, we're okay. Let's not land in the lava, please. Okay, there we go. Really? Really? So, they have to factor in next stop to this thing. And could you please? Could you not? We had like one dragon encounter yesterday. All the time we spent building a whole base in Hell Actual. And they're just swarming me. Just will not leave me alone. Oh my god. It's the original Shadow Machine. Shadow Machine Mark 1. It really is! Shadow Machine Mark 1 has contracted the dragons to kill me. To kill the Shadow Machine Mark 2, to get rid of the usurper. Okay. Just for you. Hang on, we gotta... I need to change. Hang on. And we've also got a warper, like, right there. So if I die from this Shadow Machine, I'm blaming you. I just want you to know that. Alright, where are you at? Where'd you go? You clipped through the wall, you dumb thing. God, I lost him. How do you lose a dragon the size of a train? Yeah, there's still power leeches down here. I don't know if you noticed that. There's still the dragon whatevers, the things that do way too much damage, even to the prawn. And then there's the warpers, and then there's the leeches. The exact same enemies as up above, but even more dangerous. Because of the heat. Where the crap? Oh. Hello. Alright, this is for you, Shadow Machine. This is... Well, eventually this will be for you. God, those things are fast. Well, not here anymore, Crazy Norse, but yeah, where I used to live. Gotta reach the face. Gotta be the face. It's gotta be in the face. Okay. Okay, here we go. There, got it, got it. Yep, that's the consequence of that action. We're just gonna run. Okay, so we got 6 slots. All right, so ion cube, aerogel, the thermoblade, sulfur, diamond, and I guess I'll just put the nickel in. There we go. The only image I took. Message. Oh no, I actually really like the faction design of the Endless games. Just in the variety. There's very, very few large-scale strategy games that do faction variants, right? Like, I love Civilization, but the factions don't really play differently, right? Yes, we did, Russ. Total War Warhammer 3 and the Endless games are 2 of the exceptions there. So, we're about to go die. Please join me, won't you? A little more to the right. I already saved, I literally just saved. We're not gonna all head flank just yet. But we'll be cavitating like crazy over here. Telling you, we need that orc buildy game. Alright, I've made a rocket. I strapped 3 more rockets to it. What else should I do? You idiot! You need to strap someplace for the rockets to take you! Oh, you're right. And so, instead of a cockpit, they slam a pole into the front of it and, like, punch a seat into the metal. There you go. Right. Okay, so... As I say, this is kind of shallow over here, so we're having a couple of issues. As soon as we're past this stuff... Whoa, God. Yep, hi. Oh my God, there's a Reaper right there. We're not even fully in the death zone. There's already a Reaper right there. All ahead, fall! All ahead, fall!
Excessive noise.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. He's chasing us. We can't ram him. Where is he? Is he above us?
Warning. Engine overheat. Ahead standard.
Where is he? Lost him. Where are you? Where are you? Yeah, when we cavitated, when we went to literally going to burn ourselves speed. Oh, hello. Hi. Yep, that's hello. Come here. Oh, we're into red alert status. Oh, no, we're okay. Everything's fine. There's just a Reaper right there, trying very hard to eat us. He's shoving the Cyclops. He's shoving us. Okay, buddy. You messed with the wrong Cyclops. It's biased. He's got 4 eyes, we got 1. Come here.
Added flagged. Emergency speed.
Oh, no, you don't. Come here.
Warning. Vessel calculated.
Come here. Ugh. In the face, buddy. I can't believe we've only seen 1 so far. I cannot believe we've only seen 1.
Warning. Engine.
Right in the face. We're at half health, too.
Hull integrity low.
We're also on fire. We are now on fire.
Critical engine attack.
Ugh. Alright, so how's our engine doing? Everything seems to be fine. Everything's fine. Ignore that. Oh god. Okay, it's okay. Fire extinguisher. Yep, okay. We just need to... How do I use a fire extinguisher? Oh god, I don't remember how to use a fire extinguisher. It's okay. We're just gonna leave it on fire. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. We lost it, apparently. We appear to be at 0 health. Everything's fine. Oh god, that's the ground.
Abandon ship.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I don't think we have any problems.
5, 4,
Really quick, before that saves that. Let's go ahead and back out of that. Depends on how long it takes me. Also. Hey, YouTube and Twitch streamers everywhere. I matter, barely.
Welcome home to all Terra. Permission to land will be granted once you have settled your outstanding balance of 1 trillion credits.
Cool. So, final rundown. Subnautica. Long game. Plus 22 to story, net. That's 0.71 story pluses per hour. And 100% story ratio. I didn't think of any story negatives. By the way, could I get some drum rolls in advance? 15 pluses to gameplay, net. That is 0.49 pluses per hour. And a ratio of 71.43%. We actually had a decent chunk of gameplay negatives. Overall, this gives us... And see, this is why we have drum rolls ready. Where's my drum rolls? I need drum rolls. God. Before I tell you this number, let me tell you Grounded's numbers. Real quick, because I've actually got the comparison sheet right here. Grounded had 11 to story, as opposed to this one's 22. So obviously, 0.25 density, as opposed to this one's 0.71 density. And Grounded also had 100%, no story negatives. Gameplay-wise, Grounded had 31, as opposed to this one's 15. So that's a density of 0.7 over on Grounded, whereas it's a density of 0.49 here. 79% ratio there, 71%, 71% ratio here. Grounded's golden number was 107.81. Subnautica's golden number is 101.43. That is actually quite close to Grounded. And it makes sense in its own right, because the two are in many ways mirrors of each other. One has a much better story, and one has a much better gameplay. But both of them kind of revolve around each other there. And yeah, over 100 is a damned good score.